as you progress with very few turnovers, I wonder if you could talk about that aspect of the Spiders game and why that's important to you, and if you're satisfied with what's going on.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's always been a statistic that we've been very good at. This year seems to be even better. Sometimes because the number's so low, you think, well, maybe you take a few more chances would be better. But generally, I think as the season goes along, the more times you get a shot at the basket is far outweighs the other. So yeah, I've been pleased with it because for as much as we pass the ball, it wouldn't be so hard to not have turnovers if you took bad shots. But if you're trying to get good shots and not have turnovers, I think that's an impressive stat.
You haven't taken as many free throws as your opponents, especially here in the last 2 or 3 games. I wonder if you find fault with the officiating, or you would like to see more aggressive plays on the Spiders' part, or you're okay with that stat?
No, that's definitely something that jumps out as something we need to improve upon. In my years here, we've had 2 guys really get to the free throw line, Cedric Lindsey and Tyler Burton. And it's a certain skill or certain ability to do that. Naturally, when we recruit guys who are very skillful players and guys who they're always trying to avoid contact. And so I think that's a little bit of the guys that we really like and how they play. And even Neil, his post moves are more inclined to help him get a free shot than they are to draw contact. But we'll continue to try it and talk about it and just continue to try to be aggressive. But that's definitely something that I hope doesn't become a trend. In the trade-off, if you get more good shots and you shoot better from the field, that should more than even out. But still, it is valuable to get to the free throw line and be able to make shots that are unguarded.
Can you talk generally about your non-conference scheduling philosophy? And is it the same heading into every new season, or with this team, was it different than last year's team?
Yeah, I would say it usually falls around. I mean, we talk about it a lot. We've tried to play a really good schedule, and for a number of reasons. There's probably value. I think there are probably 8-10 teams that are playing way more home games, or what they call bye games, John. And there's value in playing the schedule that we do, but that usually comes with more challenges along the way. But I've always felt like, number one, that's who Richmond is. And, when we jumped from the CAA to the A10 long ago, I think that's the idea, is that you want to challenge yourself against the best and give yourself the most opportunities. But, Wichita State, I imagine their home winning percentage is really, really high. And so we've always tried to play the best teams we can play. And I think we'll continue to do that. While you're in the midst of it, you recognize why it is such a challenge. But I do think that's who Richmond basketball should be.
Lastly for me, Jai started rather than Aiden in the second half at Wichita. And I wonder if you're going to stay with that 5 or go back to Aiden tomorrow night.
We'll have to see tomorrow night, John.
To be determined.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With this matchup against William & Mary being a long-standing matchup,
yeah,
for 200 meetings now,
wow,
and especially from the result last year, do you feel that this matchup, being one in-state, long storied, do you feel it's a little more special in your non-conference schedule?
Yes, I do, and the only thing is there's so many new players on both teams that it becomes all of those things, all of those traditional rivalry questions last year, over the last 5 games, they become a little bit less meaningful because so many players weren't a part of recent history or even last year's history. So, but I think the in-state games are great. Virginia has a great has great college basketball teams, and the more times we can play each other, the better.
Have you gotten like a first assessment of William & Mary, or any impressions of them early on?
Yeah, I mean, they've really shot a lot of three-point shots. They have the leading three-point maker in the country. And yeah, I feel like I watched them play in the first half against George Washington at George Washington. I think they had almost 50 points. They can really score the ball, and so as a coach, that's probably the thing that always jumps out at you at first is how they score, how often they score. So that really difficult team to defend. We're going to try to do our best.
With the amount of transfers that these different schools have, does it make it harder to make a game plan, or what's the strategy behind it?
Yeah, in the early season, yes. For example, Wichita State, I feel like really they're a very talented group, but I really feel like they've improved in the last, in the last 2 weeks. So, and that's new pieces coming together. Maybe somebody, had just been in the doghouse because it's a new staff, new players, and coming out of that. So, yes, I do think that makes it much more difficult to scout.
Last question from me. With this being a Virginia rivalry, do you feel that this is important to the state of Virginia to build this basketball relationship?
For sure. I think the more times we could have, I think the more times we could have in-state games, I think the better. I think it gives fans a chance, away fans. I know our football team played at William and Mary very recently, and there was a great Richmond turnout. I think the more times you can play again, of course it's becoming less and less like that because these conferences don't really have any they don't make geographic sense. So I think the more times we can play in-state rivalries, the better.
Well, Neil, can you talk about turnovers or the lack thereof? Richmond's leading the nation in that area. Why so good with the ball?
I think it's probably due to our decision making and our veterans. The guys with the ball, Jai, Jordan, Kel's doing a good job not turning the ball over. Me, just guys who don't turn the ball over and try not to make too many mistakes. It's hard to guard teams if you turn the ball over too much. So it's a good thing we're not doing it.
Can you speak about the Spiders' lack of free throws, and perhaps if that's a point of emphasis, especially the last 2 games, it's been noticeable?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've been scoring a lot in the paint, and I haven't gone to the line 2 games. I don't know what that is. I feel like we get downhill, get to the cup, but we just got to keep playing basketball, and they'll come when they come.
Do you have a sort of an early scouting report on William and Mary? Do you know much about them yet? Or too early?
Yeah, so they have a pretty good team. I think they're going through the injury bug right now, but with their full roster, they have a good squad. A bunch of high-level transfers, and they're a good team. They're not to be overlooked for sure. So we got to dial in today. We did a good job yesterday, and we'll take care of business tomorrow.
You have lots of travel in November, and still some coming up. I wonder what is the most popular thing to do on a plane, on a bus, while you travel?
Yeah, so, fortunately we travel really well. The plane's got a good amount of legroom for me. Obviously the guys listen to music, download movies, and we play Subway Surfers, the game on the phone, so we have like a little competition going on in the team. So it's a fun time on the road.
I'm guessing you're an aisle seat guy on the ball.
Yeah, so it's like the way that the plane is seated, like there's so much leg room, so you can sit anywhere. So it's me and Jack Graham sitting next to each other, and I could pretty much lay down on the plane. It's amazing.
With that long flight to Wichita and then coming back from there too, do you feel like your body has a couple days that are needed to recover, or are you ready to go right away?
Nah, I think I'm fine. I think Andy and Jay do a great job getting us ready. Even the Florida games, the IVs, the massages, the electrolytes, everything that we do to get ready for games. I think they do a great job getting us ready. I feel great, ready to go.
How would you assess your play at Wichita? You made some points, and obviously the Spiders getting the loss, but how would you assess your play personally?
I think I played all right. I think I needed to grab a few more rebounds, stay out of foul trouble. Obviously that hurt, not being able to play like that long stretch in the first half and a good amount there in the second, but pretty much just staying aggressive is the key for me, and everything else will fall.
With this being the 202nd meeting between William and Mary and Richmond, does a win in this game mean a little bit more because of the storied history?
Definitely. I think for me personally, it's more because we lost last year. I hate that. I need to get that back. So, I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow.